What is reality and who are we? Have you ever thought about that? Sure, probably a lot of you do. A lot of individuals probably thought about that, right? So hey guys, how's everybody doing today? Hopefully everybody's doing great today. So today, that's what we want to touch on. I want to talk basically about, what is reality and who are we? So the thing is, with me, I always question everything. So I look around and I'm always asking, but how does that create that way? Or why is it this way? Or, what makes these things physical? What is physical? How can I touch this? And I often thought to myself, okay, why can I speak out aloud and I could hear myself, but then I could just stop saying nothing, and then in my head, there's a voice in my head, but I can hear the voice in my head. But, how can I hear the voice in my head if I don't have the ears in my head, right? So I always ask those questions. So those things kind of get me to kind of, channel higher information about reality. So here's what, I discovered, and here's how it works. So what I realize is that me, my body, who I am, that's not actually who I am. It's just a holographic projection through my brain. And then I discovered that everything is connected. Everyone is connected on a subconscious level. I'm connected to you, you're connected to me, we're connected to the entire global planet. And that information started to really sink in, and then I started to discover that, okay, so if I'm this, what you call a spiritual being, and I'm in this, what I call a physical body, what am I capable of doing? And I realized that I'm capable of doing anything. You too. I'm no different than you, right? Same human being, right? So when I discovered that, I said, okay, wow, that's amazing. Let me put it to the test. So I started to, put some meditation, things that I kind of developed, and then it started to work. And I said to myself, whoa, so this is how the universe works. So I've discovered that what reality really is a subjective realm. It's not objective. My reality, in other words, both of us, you and I, we exist in the same space and in the same time, but we experience things differently. I could have my sets of truths and facts, you could have your sets of truth and facts, and according to how the universe works, you'll be right and I'll be right at the same time. That's called subjective. And the reason it works that way is because I'm aware of my feelings. I have an experience. You are aware of your feelings. You have an experience. If I'm standing next to you, it's literally impossible for me to tell how you're feeling. Literally impossible for you to tell how I'm feeling. I can relate to you and say I feel this way, but there is no way that you could concretely feel the same way I feel. That's called subjective. So in my mind, in my world, that becomes my reality. In your world too. And I know, right? Sounds far-fetched, right? But, there's scientific evidence now of that. And we study that in quantum mechanics because now we understand that at the quantum world, that's what creates the big stuff, you and I, realities can exist, or they exist simultaneously. Matter of fact, there's different realities right now interacting and going through each other, ups and downs, at the same time. As I'm speaking to you right now, I may be passing through another reality, millions of realities. Now, keep in mind, when you think of reality, don't think of reality in the concrete way that you've been taught, like physical stuff. Reality is basically energy density fields of vibrations. That's what reality means. Because a reality is basically, in the raw essence, is quantum forms of energy. And then when you put your attention to something, it creates a holographic image, and then you see something real. But in its raw content, there is no reality. It's nothing. It's no physical things. is just bubbling forth of energy. So consider that, right? Powerful stuff. So once you get the idea that, okay, so this reality is I can tune into it. And then when I tune into it, I subjectively can create what I want. Then it brings me to the question, all right, so who am I, or who are we? Well, once you start to ponder this, then you discover that this body you're inhabiting is like an avatar. It's like a vehicle. It's not you. Because real you is in a spiritual form, or spiritual means non-physical form. And again, we can turn to science to see that, because the particles that create what we perceive to be real are nothing more than invisible fields of energy. I mean, you're more space than physical stuff. You're more space than matter. I'll repeat that. You're more empty than real. Let that sink in. Let me repeat it again. You're more empty than real. Our entire body is more space, empty space. But then we go into space. So guess what? Space isn't really empty either. Space is full with vacuums of little energies. They go in and out. They call it 0-point energy. And we inhabit, we exist in that field, right? That space. And so when you think about it, we're really like multidimensional beings. We come here for experiences, to learn, to teach, to expand. That's who we are. That's why you are able to think a thought and it can manifest. That's why you're able to think of someone and they can call you. Because remember I said about the connection, how everything is connected? That's why you could have a dream and it manifests. And you could have a vision and it comes to pass. You could dream of a specific thing and a specific thing happened a couple of days later. How do you explain that? Well, you don't explain that because, again, there is no objective reality. All reality is basically subjective. Even in your dreams, you're subjective because you're your own experience. You have your subconscious mind. Then it brings to another point now. So if I'm this spiritual person or the spiritual being in this, what we call this physical body, how does it operate? Well, then it operates because there's minds or consciousness. Consciousness exists. And basically a consciousness is your ability to know you're having an experience. To know that, okay, I'm awake, I'm conscious. And within the mind, then we have some different parts of the mind. We have our conscious mind. I call it the intellect mind because that mind, keeps us on our toes, likes to plan. It's great for planning. But I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about the deeper mind, the subconscious mind. That connects us to who we are. Because through the subconscious mind is a portal to what's known as your higher self. That's the spiritual part of you that's outside of what you would call reality. Now, this may sound very counterintuitive, and it's natural. It sounds counterintuitive because of our intellect mind. When we came here, the minute we entered this world, we began to get programmed, and we developed an intellect mind to watch over us, to make sure we use logic and reason, and to basically prove that what we see is real. That's called our reality. So we've been dependent upon that mind, and with that mind is what we primarily use in our life. But once you discover that that's not you, that's just a part or the physical part of you, but the true you exists deep in your subconscious realm, and you can connect to that. And then you see that true part of you also exists into what you know as your feelings, your intuition, and nudges. Now, this part, what I'm talking about with the intuitive and the dreams and the visions and those things you can see in your mind's eye and they become manifested, science really hasn't caught up. Consciousness, matter of fact, there's big debate right now. Science can't even, no one knows what consciousness is. They can't put a definition on it. They have theories, but we know it exists because you experience it, I experience it. So reality is subjective. It's not what you see. It may be physical, but it's not really physical. And when we use the word physical, we associate with real. It's not that anymore. There's no real. So if you want to get a picture of realities in your mind, picture a paint slab or a paint brush or paint canvas, and picture the canvas as just blank. And then when you put paint on it, that's called your reality. That's the true essence of reality, is a blank canvas. When you put the paintbrush and you paint what you want, that's called your subjective, your attention to it, and it's created through your subconscious. And then your higher self, that's who you are, talks to you and communicates to you through that invisible field to help you to navigate this reality. That's very powerful, because with that higher self, that means you can manipulate and you can change, and you could have a marvelous life. You can do what you want. But the issue is many of us aren't plugged in, right? Because again, when we came here, we forgot who we are. We got caught up in our intellect mind. And again, another factor is the way the program works. The way you're programmed is designed to keep you from awakening to who you are. Okay, see that? So once you discover this truth and you start to unlock it and you start to tune into yourself, your true self, that's when you see what we call miracles. And that's when your life starts to change. And that's what I want to leave with you today, so that you can understand now that, oh, so what we're seeing is actually not the truth. No, you're not. You're seeing 1% of the actual field. See, there's two versions of simultaneous reality. Let me break it down. You have EMF reality, and then we have consciousness reality. EMF, electromagnetic frequency, that's the common reality we use to visible light. That's what we interact with physically. Then we have the external, the hidden or the true dimension, which is in your consciousness, which perseveres or pursues to all the fields. That reality comes in and it overminds and it looks down and it can peer through the EMF reality. So the EMF reality is what quantum physics we know about. Consciousness reality, there's no way that we can even detect it. We don't have instruments that can even detect it. But we know it's there, and you know it's there. You know why? Because you can see it in the mind, you can feel it, right? You can visualize, you can meditate, you can get these dreams and these visions. You can stay here and you can see images in real time from somewhere else. You can talk to someone telepathically, right? There's no instruments to detect how it works or precisely, but we know it works because countless millions of people experience it. So that's what it is. So you want to tune into the consciousness reality, because then you can manipulate it and use it to your life. So I say that to just show you how powerful you are, that you have a part of you that can change your life in the most magnificent way. And once you learn these truths, you can start to tap into it. And once you start to tap into it, tap through meditation, through visuals, etc., then you'll see truly how powerful you are. So that's something I want to leave you with today, to just consider that. Now you know what reality is and who we are. All right? Thank you, guys.